Hello YouTube, hello America. We've got a very important message today. We're talking about police brutality, which is very prevalent in the United States. I'm not 100% sure about other countries. I know in the UK they're having a little bit of a problem with it. So, I'm going to start this video out with a couple of compilation videos that I made. Well, I didn't make them. It's actually courtesy of another YouTuber. The video was originally called Police Brutality Compilation 2015. I'll leave a link in the description. But I'm only taking a couple clips from that, and I want to talk about specifically what rights are being violated and why this is wrong. But let's take a look. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video. Sorry, and I'll be back with commentary.
Police, I'm sure, here are having
I can hear people yelling. What's happening?
Yeah. They're trying to get these people out of this car here, sweetie. And I don't know why, but it's looking kind of weird. Oh, God. Oh, he's just an old man. Oh, God, you're going to get him.
Oh shit! Oh!
Alright, so in the ones I picked, it was literally 3 of them where they were actually violent. In all 3 instances, well, excuse me, sorry, the first one you can't really see the full story. All you can see is that the officers kill him and then fist bump afterwards. So, you can't really say for sure whether or not it was justified or not, but you can say that the way the officers handled the situation was, incorrect, to say the least. With the second video, it is, it sounds like a mom and her kids possibly in a car, and she's talking to the kids about, oh, it looks like the police are just handling the situation right now. It looks a little bit weird, though. And when they pull the passenger out of the van, you realize that it's an elderly gentleman, and they proceed to tase him while he has his hands up. And so I consider that a problem, at least, because he was surrendering, he was not a threat to the officers, and they still tased him, which is, by definition, police brutality. And then with the last video, I don't really know what to say about it. You see, it's at a distance at first, there's some kind of traffic altercation going on, so the officers were clearly upset, disgruntled about what was going on there, but you see the gentleman who gets out of the car is surrendering. He's got his hands up, and they start to shoot him with beanbag bullets. And they shoot him a couple times, and he becomes scared and puts his hands way up in the air, and is very fearful at that point. And they shoot him dead, and that's terrible. It's absolutely just awful. I'd like to hear some opinions about these videos first of all, and I'd like to hear other people's perspectives on these. I think that this is a clear problem in this country at this point, and I have one last video on here, and this one is not exactly a police brutality video, but it's a retired, I believe he said he was in Iraq. I don't remember if he was a general commander or something like that. He said he was in Iraq training the locals to be part of their own army. And he's talking about how the things he saw in Iraq are similar to what's happening in America and the militarization of our local police stations. So let's take a listen at that, and I'll give some commentary on that as well.
So here's one report. I'm representing humanity, and you want 90 seconds, so I'm going to give it to you. That counts as part of your 90 seconds.
That's all right. I ran over here. Heard this was going on, so I just need to get a quick thing.
Thank you very much. What's your name, sir, and where are you from?
Humanities. Pete Martino from Epsom.
Thank you.
You don't need this. You really don't. I was a colonel. I'm a retired colonel in the Marine Corps. I saw a sign back there that said, we want more Mayberry and less Fallujah. And I spent a year in Fallujah. And you know what? When I first got there, I didn't have armored Humvees, and I traveled over 10,000 miles over there. And sometimes you got to deal with and go with what you have. And so that's part of the job, for one. The second thing is, though, when I was in Iraq, I was in charge. I was the Ministry of Defense coordinator. My job was to man, train, and equip the Iraqi army in Al-Anbar, Najaf, Karbala, and northern Babil provinces. And I can tell you right now, well, somebody had the great idea to get rid of the Iraqi army, so when we rebuilt it, we did everything we could to make it as strong as possible. And I'll tell you right now, Homeland Security would kick their butts in a week. What's happening here is we're building a domestic military because it's unlawful or unconstitutional to use American troops on American soil. So what we're doing is we're building a military. My best friend, who's a SWAT officer in Nashua, who came to Iraq with me to train the Iraqi police, sent me an email with a picture of him in the media on the streets of Watertown, Mass, wearing the exact same combat gear that we had in Iraq, only it was a different color. And the way we do things in the military is called task organization. You take a command and then you attach units to it in order to accomplish the mission. What's happening is Homeland Security is pre-staging gear, equipment, consistent. What they're trying to do is use standardized vehicles, standardized equipment. I saw a picture in the Boston Globe during the marathon bombing where there was a state police officer, actually there were two officers, they both had identical helmets, flak jackets, weapons, everything I wore in Iraq, only it was all blue. The officer on one side had a big patch on his back that said Massachusetts State Police. Another officer next to him, his patch said Boston Police. And so what we're doing here, and let's not kid about it, we're building a domestic army and we're shrinking the military because the government is afraid of its own citizens. The last time more than 10 terrorists were in the same place at one time was September 11th, and all these vehicles in the world wouldn't have prevented it, nor would it have helped anybody. So I don't know where we're going to use this many vehicles and this many troops. Concord is just one little cog in the wheel. We're building an army over here, and I can't believe that people aren't seeing it. Is everybody blind? That's all. I'll take that.
Please, I know it's a passionate issue, but if you please, for the first time, I'm asking you not to boo or clap one way or the other.
I'll take any questions.
Any questions? Thank
My
you.
wife always told my kids there's always free cheese in the mousetrap.
All right, Ray Fitzgerald.
So this guy's got a very interesting point. He talks about the fact that every bit of equipment that he was seeing these officers in was almost like exactly like his, but it was a different color. And the reason that's a problem is because we can't have a standing army under the name of law enforcement in our country and secure our liberties at the same time. There's a reason that the Constitution was written in a way that it was to secure those liberties. And so what I would say is we need to, reel back those programs, and we need to address militarization of police in this country. And that starts with people like you and me forming opinions about these type of things, which is another point I'd like to get to in this video. a lot of young people, a lot of people my age, or in this age range, I'd say 18 to 30, feel very disenfranchised with the political process because we feel like we don't have a chance, we don't have a say in what's going on. But things like this, things like militarization of police, show that those in power are actually physically scared of what kind of power we hold. We as citizens all are equal and all hold the same amount of political power. We just don't exercise it like we should. And I think it really will take a political revolution in this country for us to finally realize that. And I'd like to just end this video out with a couple of articles from different news sources about different ways that they are covertly trying to erode our rights, or either that or just do things that are only benefiting their interests rather than the interests of the entire American population. So let's look at those real quick. Alright, so first we're going to talk about the free speech zones. First of all, with that, I'd like to say that the First Amendment doesn't apply to any zone in particular. That's why people have a problem with it. They don't like the idea of being told, this is where your freedom of speech begins and ends. So let's address that real quick. How do we fix that? We first off start by letting our law enforcement know that they aren't allowed to do things like this. We are allowed to protest peacefully anywhere in this country we please. And the fact that they want to try and create things like this is a simple erosion of rights. It is to see how complacent and compliant American people will be. Alright, so this next one is related to the TPP in general. I'm not 100% sure about the specifics of the deal, but I do know that it was written by corporations for corporations, and that the average citizen is not allowed to read it. So, if you'd like to learn more about the TPP or how it's going to affect our lives, I'm going to leave some links in the description, and please go check them out, because it is, it's not good. It won't help us out at all, and it really just seeks to continue this cycle of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and just look at it yourself. I don't want to put out too many opinions out there, so I'd like for people to just form their own opinions on it. Alright, so it looks like this one's not actually going to be able to cover everything I wanted it to, but that's alright. We're going to get on to all that stuff in a newer episode. For now, I just if you enjoyed the episode, or the video so far, just like and share it. If you think you're going to enjoy the stuff I'll put out in the future, please subscribe. And the next episode is going to be about the way that Americans influence public policy. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, it'll be up within the next week. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed.